Hey guys, my name is Pip Ninja, and I'm dying. Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Pip Ninja, and as you notice, this is my first full-form YouTube video. My first YouTube video, I guess, in general. And that's because I am announcing something very special today, as well as we are going to be going over some details about it. A lot of people who already know me through Instagram and stuff. I have been engineering a ultimate version of the Halo Reach Gungnir helmet. Now this has been kind of my pride and joy. My very first Gungnir helmet is up there. That way, that guy. And over the past about 5 years, I have really been putting a lot of engineering into building a Gungnir helmet, finding out exactly what I need to put in it, exactly how I want it to function. And I've officially finished the very last rendition of the 3D files. This now gets me into my announcement. So right now, I am releasing this helmet file on Etsy. Over the course of the next few months, depending on how long it takes me, I'm going to be doing a complete and in-depth tutorial series of exactly what to print for what version of the helmet you want, exactly how to finish it, and then how to do every single thing for that helmet. From the printing, sanding, painting, electronics, molding and casting of the neck guard, building a vacuum form table and vacuum forming the visor, and then final assembly for everything and padding the helmet. Everything from start to finish of getting the ultimate Gungnir helmet is what I'm going to be creating the tutorial series on. Right here, this is my current prototype. This was version number 1 of the 3D model. I have since just finished the 3D files to make all the fixes and repairs that were wrong with this one. A lot of people have seen this one in person. I'm particularly proud of it, and we will be essentially replicating this with the brand new files. I'll be walking through every step of the way. So if you guys want to make one yourself, you will have all of the tools and knowledge ahead of you. All right, with all of that out of the way, now we are going to jump over to Fusion 360, and I'm going to give you a breakdown of what all is included in the files, so you can see exactly what you want to print for whatever armor you want to, or armor attachments you want to make for this particular helmet. So let's get into that.
Son, you know, once you start, there's no going back.
I know.
This means total commitment. Once you begin the path, there is no leaving the path. Are you sure you're ready for that? I mean, really ready?
I guess so.
Neat. We'll start tomorrow.
Alright, so here we are now in the 3D file. This is the 3D file here for the Gungnir helmet that I've been working so diligently on. And I have my folders down here broken into the same kind of folders that you're going to see in the File Explorer. It's just a little easier for me to kind of show you what all is here and what's going on. So we're actually going to start with just the base right now. So the first file here is the base. Now this separates into 4 different spots. You have your helmet shells, right, which we're going to look at these one at a time. Oh, this is all on. Let me just hide things. Alright, so this right here is folder number 1. This is going to be your base shells, and this is what it's going to get you, right? You have, starting here, you have your base jaw. Now this is going to be your primary jaw piece here. If you do not want the CBRN attachments, right, so this is just your basic jaw. It has the heat-threaded inserts here. In these holes, this whole helmet is held together with heat-threaded inserts and bolts, so you'll be able to unbolt it and take it apart and put it back together as you see fit. So if you ever were to break it, for instance, you could replace parts really easily. That was the big concern of mine. After the jaw, we go into the hood.
Hey, this is my first day in the hood.
Which is this front section here. This is designed, there's a lot of components in here, right, and we will be covering this as we do the build. This right here is all set up for the assisted hearing. All of these little holes in the side are actually little torus shapes for zip ties for the electrical wiring distribution. And then we have the channel to hold both the voice amplifier speaker as well as the screen rig that goes in here, which we'll be covering here in a second. And then the electronics channels through the back. Right, getting into the second part of that is this eyepiece here. Now this eyepiece is really special because it is designed so much so the sound that comes from the speaker that goes behind it will pass around this eyepiece. So when we go to do the voice amplification, you'll be able to be heard, but you won't be able to see a visible spot where there's a speaker. I'm trying to maintain the look as much as possible. Combined with the hood. Also, for those of you who are kind of familiar with Halo Reach in particular, you know that this is kind of a janky piece in game. So this model is took a little bit of creative liberties to make this eyepiece look a little bit better than it does in the source material. And then finally we have the backplate here. Now this is where the majority of our electronic control circuitry is going to be. This is where the battery box is in the back. You have power distribution, we have control board distribution, and that goes out left or right. Alright, from there, we're going to go into the neck guard. Right, so there's two versions of this neck guard, right? There's this printed version. So if you wanted to just 3D print it out of hard plastic, or you want to 3D print it out of TPU, you can just load this version up. It already has your holes for bolting through. Or, alternatively, I have a casted version. Now this is going to be the one we are going to be printing for the tutorial series. You'll notice the holes are only partially indented. We're going to punch those out later, and then this ridge here that's going to be cut out later goes all the way up to the surface, and that's going to be for when we actually do the silicone pour. We're going to be molding and casting this out of polyurethane, PT Flex. I think we're going to do PT Flex 85. I haven't decided the official mixture yet. We'll figure that out when we get there. So yeah, you have the casted version or the printed version is up to you. The next thing we have here is this visor. Now, on the Gungnir helmet, right, normally this is just a black piece here. However, one of the big engineering things I've done here is this visor. Now if I get rid of the jaw and I get rid of the hood, you're left with this. Now we are going to be vacuum forming this visor here. There's two versions. You have this printed version, so if you are one of the crazy people who can 3D print visors and make them look clear and spend 3 years of your life wet sanding them, more power to you to print this one out and clear it up and do it. Or if you just want a display helmet and don't actually intend on wearing this helmet at all, you could just have this 3D printed and insert it and sand and paint it like a regular 3D print for a solid surface shell. In this tutorial series, we're going to be covering the vacuum forming, which is where this comes in. This right here is the visor buck. It is a little weird on the underhangs, but I have tested it. I currently have this buck printed and pulled the visors for the current prototype off of this, and it worked flawlessly. There was not a single issue with it. I'm actually really happy with how this visor buck performed. Ooh, we gotta wait for fusion to load before it dies. We don't want fusion to die. There we go. Alright. The next folder we're going to be getting into is this electronics rig here. Now this folder is housing all of our components to hold electronic parts, so we're going to go through this one at a time. First is the screen rig. Now we hide the hood here. This right here is going to hold the electronic components for the camera, and this little front crossbar section holds a little flat lens that goes in front of the camera that's going to help us focus on it. In this particular instance, right, this is going to be personal preference. Some people wear glasses, some people can see better closer, some people can see better farther. This works for me. I have regular 20/20 vision and I can see fairly well here. Your results may vary based on your eyesight, which is kind of natural, but it's decently far enough away from the face where you should be able to focus on it. We are going to be taking apart a baby monitor for a car that has a very low profile screen, and if we put the hood back on, you can see how that is going to slot in here, and this is actually going to be a press fit into the helmet. It stays very well with the press fit. I have tested it multiple times, and that press fit is going to essentially allow us to remove it if we ever need to do any maintenance in here or whatnot. Next, we have the hearing grates, right? All these are going to do, these are going to house the speaker for the amplified hearing system. So on the outside here, there's going to be a little microphone that goes in this hole from the back side. So microphone goes in this hole, and then there's these grates here for these speakers that are basically going to prevent anything from touching the front of the speaker. We're eventually going to have padding in here, and we basically just want to create a barrier between the front of the speaker and our head. So that's what these two gratings are for, and they get bolted into these same holes. Next here is the voice isolator template, it's this little ring right here, and what we're going to be using this for is actually a template for EVA foam. If we look into the base hood here, right, we were talking about how there's going to be a speaker in here that is going to be used for voice amp. Well, a big problem is the microphone is going to be about down here in this area, and we don't want feedback. So we have this microphone or the speaker pushed really far forward, and then we have this voice isolator template here, and we're going to print this out, cut it out of EVA foam. That's going to essentially create a foam barrier between the back of the speaker and the inner helmet chamber. That should help with the isolation a little bit and prevent us having that feedback problem. This is going to require a little bit of finagling where it should work in theory. We'll see that when we get there. Next is going to be the jaw rig. Now if we open up the jaw, and we're going to open up the neck guard, right? This jaw rig slots right in front of this neck guard, gets bolted in, and what this is going to do is hold a few electronics for us. This is primarily electronics housing rig. So I come over and I open my electronics tab, which this electronics tab is only for me for modeling. You're not going to be seeing this, seeing these components in the files. These are just for me to see kind of what I'm going on here. So we can actually see here, right, this is the camera, this is the front of the camera lens. It is just barely poking above the jaw, so this is where the camera's going to be see-through. This right here is the voice amp microphone, and then we have the two box fans here. We're going to have this so one is intake and one is output to circulate air across your face. And then if we hide the jaw, hide the electronics, you can get a better look at what this rig entails. So this one is all function. Another part of that is this is going to go into this fan tubing adapter, and we go to electronics. One of our two blower fans is going to be dedicated to defogging. I saw it didn't line it up, but that's not a big deal. It's going to be dedicated to defogging the camera and the lens in front of the camera. That was a big issue I was having with the current prototype. We're going to be using a little bit of camelback tubing from here to here, and this is going to blow down right in front of the camera to prevent it from fogging. That is one of the kind of better fixes in this area. So that is the fan tubing adapter here. Now this fan tubing adapter, this is going to be able to slot into the end of the blower fans that we have, and we're going to glue that in place, and that's just going to give us a good transition to the tubing. Alright, the next two pieces in this electronics rig are the control board panel, which is this back panel right here, and then the power panel, which is this right here. And if we open up the base back plate, what these are just the panels that cover our electronic circuit components, right? We have our power converters that go behind this panel, and then our control boards go behind this panel. This is just to kind of isolate those and protect them. Alright, that is about it for this base category here. Now we're going to go into the attachments. Now there are 3 attachments, right? We're going to start with just a uplink module, right? So this is the right light. Now they're right and left, right, arbitrarily. I picked right and left based on looking at the front of the helmet because of the design sketch of it, but technically I agree this is the left side of the helmet. Right is going to be the side closest to the eyepiece. Right, that's the easiest way to think about it. Now, how this breaks down, right, we have a couple of pieces in here. Right, if you want this light plate on this right side, instead of printing you open up the base again, and we open up the helmet shells. So instead of printing this base backplate here, instead, you're going to be printing the right light backplate, right? Because this right light backplate, it has all the attachment points outside for the light, and it has the screw mounts for the top of the light coming through here. Right, and then the same is true if we go into the left light. You can choose left or right. This guy has the same thing. Right, this is the backplate, except now it's on this side. From there, we have the right light hood. This one is a pretty simple fix, or a pretty simple change. You have this light poking out here. This is going to be our electronics cord that comes up to the light. We have an extra torus here to manage those wirings up through here. We have this little piece here, which is the front end of the bracket that marries right here. And then we have this right here. Now this is going to be an LED indicator. So the top light is activated by a switch on the back of the light, and this indicator is going to tell you from inside the helmet whether or not your outside light is on or not. And then the same is true about the left light hood. It is just mirrored. So same things here, the LED, your pass-through for electronics, and your little bracket. Following with the light, we have the light backplate, we have the light hood. You can see where those two marry up now. That's what I was talking about. And then now we're going to get to the barrel. So this is the light barrel. This slots in here. It's going to be screwed into place right here. This channel on this side is your wiring channel to come down. There's going to be a cross wire here that is going to get jacketed from here to here for your wiring. And then there's a little LED here, as well as an LED on the tip here for the actual light. And then this port in the back is for the push button switch. This is going to be an on-off toggle switch. From there we have the right light cap, which is this next section of the light. It registers on here, and then we have the right light lens. Now this right light lens here is just a flat piece. You can use this as either a template to cut a flat piece of plastic, or you can 3D print this out of a clear PLA or something along those lines. It's really personal preference. We are going to be cutting ours out of clear plastic in this tutorial and then sanding it down and diffusing it. That's right light cap. And then you have this right light upper bracket here, which gets, if we hide the right light backplate, you see this is going to get screwed in. We're going to have some heat threaded inserts in here. This is going to be screwed in to hold it in place, which hides all of the electronics inside the central tube. So this is the entire lighting backplate here for left and right. Alright, the next attachment here is going to be the CBRN attachment. We are going to be still using the same base hood, eyepiece, and backplate. However, unless you want to add one of the uplink lights, they are kind of independent of CBRN. If we open the CBRN, we do have some pieces in here. So if we hide our bases, alright, these are what we're looking at for CBRN. Starting with the jaw. Now this is our base jaw here for the CBRN. We notice you have channels here for airflow, so that means that our fans will be able to actually pull in air from outside. If you didn't have the CBRN, we're going to have both of the box fans in that central rig pointing towards you, because it's really just recirculating the helmet air, whereas with the CBRN we're going to have one in, one out to create essentially a loop circle here with that. There's a couple of detail pieces that go with this. We have the left post and the right post. That's this little nubbin guy in the back here on either side. In the front we have the left grate and the right grate. Now these get inserted from the back side, they register in here, and these are what are going to allow us to have airflow. And then the last part of the CBRN is this visor print. Now if you're looking at printing your visor, this visor print for the CBRN has cutouts for the fans that if we open up the electronics rig, we open up the jaw rig, you can see those correspond directly with where the fans actually are in this jaw rig. So that is going to give you the airflow while also being able to print the visor if you would like to print it. Fusion is trying not to crash. Let's give it a second. Hopefully this gives you some insight into what files you're going to need for this build in particular. In this video tutorial series, we are going to be building this version. So we're going to be building the CBRN with the left light on it. We're going to be replicating the current prototype helmet that I have with the brand new files and everything associated. With all that said, let's I don't know. Do we have to Corbin, do we have to transition to the outro? I don't know. I don't know. You figure it out. We're just gonna swoop over to the outro.
Alright, now that we've covered all of the 3D files, hopefully you have a better understanding of what comes in the pack and what you can expect when downloading the file. For those of you who want to get started and build along with me, you can go ahead and start 3D printing your files now. And as I start printing them myself, I'm going to be giving updates through my socials and stuff. And then once everything is all printed out and ready to go and I'm ready to start sanding, that's when I'll pick up the next video in the tutorial series. In the next video, we are going to be covering the sanding process that I use for finishing 3D prints, and in that process we're going to be getting everything from start to finish smooth, and I may or may not break down painting into its own video, or I might put it into the back of that one. I haven't decided yet. I will likely split them up so you can go jump to each step of this process that you want to see and not necessarily have to fish through a whole video just to get to the painting step, for instance. Anyway, with that said, thank you so much for watching this video. It is my very first YouTube video and I'm very excited for the path I have laid out for this particular build and for things to come. Special shout out and thank you to Zenghilios. He does all the editing here. He has his own YouTube channel that I'll post in the description, as well as I will have my Linktree, which has the link to my Etsy for you to get the file, as well as my other socials if you want to check that out. For those of you who are members of the 405th or interested in the 405th, it is a Halo costume community. I have an entire build log that covers everything from start to finish about how I made this helmet. You know, going through my design process step by step, and as I made progress, making updates on there. So if you want a more in-depth write-up about kind of what's going on that created this guy, you can go check that out there. With all that said, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.